We're back. Still no podcast.
Oh, good podcasts come to those who wait.
Yeah. We are waiting to hear back from Eminem after recording our Diss podcast.
I don't think we were mean enough.
Yeah, I think we did kind of drop the ball with being mean.
That's the part of about being a good disser that I've never gotten, because I still want to be friends after I do a diss.
You really have to dip into the phobia bucket to do a good diss, I think. You got to make fun of somebody's sexual orientation or their weight.
Yeah. That's something that I've been meaning to get. I don't have a phobia bucket here.
Yeah.
There's fucking phobias just laying around everywhere. I should clean this place up and put them back.
I will tell you that the proliferation of fake phobias on Reddit has made sourcing questions for trivia nights a lot harder. A lot of these trivia websites that I like to go to for ideas are flooded with fear of yellow clowns is known as what? It's like, no, shut up. Not a real thing. Go away. Quit putting this stuff on trivia webs. There's a lot of bad trivia out there. You'll look it up and it'll be like, no, that's not true at all. It's never been true. It's not even like a thing where like this is just outdated.
It's like a thing where it's like, as misinformation runs rampant across America, it must at some point must come for our trivia.
Yeah. Just you're on like trivia.com and it says, where was Barack Obama born? And I'm like, Kenya. I don't care what Snopes says. They've got a liberal bias. Boy, it is funny though how it only took like 5 years tops for me to go from laughing at people saying Snopes has liberal bias to being like, I think Snopes does have liberal bias. I just wish that it was just a website that was like, no, a man did not put a duck in his butt.
Yeah.
Like it used to be,
Well, it used to let you know which, I mostly went there for Disney related, either like Disney ghost story kind of bullshit that's not true, or like, oh, they did put frames of pornography in their movies.
They put pornography in The Rescuers, and they poisoned a bunch of children with hot dogs on accident. They were like, we gotta kill these rats at Disneyland. We'll just poison a bunch of hot dogs and leave them laying around. They didn't think, children would pick up a hot dog off the ground and just take a bite.
How do you make a ground hot dog not appetizing to a child?
I think what they do now is they have that little box that's like a maze. You have to get through the maze to get to the poison.
The hot dog?
Yeah.
Just still a hot dog in there. And they post those signs that say like this is an exterminator contraption or something. Like they'll have a sign now that says that's what this plastic thing is on the ground.
Warning.
Don't stick your fingers in there and try to
the hot dog in here is for rats only.
I don't know. Like to me, I don't think I would eat the hot dog. I just want to know if the hot dog is real. It's a Schrodinger's hot dog.
Yeah, it's a
Skinner hot dog box.
Yeah. This is how you die. You got to know if that hot dog is in there, and then you can't help yourself.
I worked up a little bit of an appetite breaking into that exterminator box.
Yeah, now all I can think about is hot dogs. Now all I want is a poison hot dog. Hot dogs. Poison hot dogs. What kind of man eats poison hot dogs?
What a way to go. I think that's got a little more of a verve to it than drinking the hemlock juice like Socrates. I think that a man of that status should have gotten a poison hot dog.
Socrates has to. They bring him a big foot-long coney.
Everybody's crying and sad as Socrates chows down on a foot-long coney.
They got a beer bong full of hemlock. That sucks, man. They should have done something cooler to Socrates. Just drink hemlock. They could have like fired him from a catapult. They had catapults back then, right? Just hop up in that thing. I mean, they got volcanoes. Could have just thrown him in a volcano.
That's true. Yeah. Or if they got to the top of the mountain and were like, "Oh, this one's not a volcano," they could have just been like, "Well, just throw him off the mountain."
It's still pretty tall.
Yeah.
We just dug a hole in the top of the mountain, and we put some fire down there. We're gonna throw you in the fire hole. Pretend it's a volcano. Hemlock is the stop hitting yourself of capital punishment, because they make you drink it.
Well, they didn't. I think he chose to. I think he committed suicide, didn't he?
He was sentenced to death, wasn't he?
I thought that he was like, I'm going to go out on my terms. Hemlock.
I think that hemlock was the case that they gave him.
I can't remember.
Well, this will be next week's Department of Corrections.
Like he knew he was going to die, and I think that was his more dignified way of dying than whatever they had cooked up. I think they were going to do maybe we're going to bury him up to his neck and paint honey on his face kind of stuff.
They're going to do a jackass bit with him.
Yeah.
They're going to hit him with a giant spring-loaded hand while he's carrying a tray of soup. I'll be honest, all that I know about Socrates drinking hemlock is from an old Steve Martin special that I saw on TV.
Socrates, the trial is over. Here's your hemlock.
Ah, thank you. Well, what was the verdict? When do I get out of here?
But Socrates, the verdict was death.
Death? You gotta be kidding me. For what?
For teaching the youth wisdom.
Well, I'll take it all back. Call him in here. I'll renounce everything. Let's get out of here. Let's go get some Chinese food.
But Socrates, you drank the hemlock.
So what?
It's poisonous.
It is? Since when?
But speaking of not knowing things, we do need to go to the Department of Corrections.
Okay.
I'm sorry, so sorry.
Folks,
That
God damn it.
I was such a fool.
I made a mistake. Last week, we talked about a reality show that involved Jesse Ventura hunting people on an island. And I'm afraid I was wrong. This program was about John Cena hunting people on an island, not Jesse Ventura.
Didn't Ventura have a Bigfoot show though of some sort?
Perhaps.
I don't know. I'm not going to stand by that. I don't want to get Department of Correction next week.
I'm sorry. I got Jesse Ventura confused with John Cena. The two could not be more different. One of them is practically a sovereign citizen, and the other one is a coward who apologizes to China every chance he gets.
In Chinese.
Man, have you seen the one where it's just him talking about how much he loves ice cream in Chinese?
I want to know, because it seems like he's speaking Chinese badly. But, it's still impressive, way more than I could say. But I wonder if he's
got an ice cream
actually...
cone and he's like pointing to it and just saying stuff. I can't even I'm not going to try to impersonate because in my mind, what he is saying is just gibberish. He doesn't actually know Chinese. They're just like, yeah, it's real good, John. Yeah, perfect. And then they just dub over it. Like, what if that was what was going on with like Jackie Chan movies? What if he was just like, they just dubbed in English? And we just assumed that he was speaking Chinese in those early films, but he was actually doing bad English that didn't sound like anything.
I remember the first time I saw a Jackie Chan movie and I was very confused. I had never seen a movie that was dubbed before, or at least not pretty much wholly dubbed. And
Yeah.
I was like, they messed up my tape. Like the sounds don't, like I thought it was something in the production of the video cassette I was watching.
Because they have like American and like British actors speaking English, but then they dub over them too.
Yes. And
that's
so
actually, like I've heard that's because in Hong Kong it's so noisy, and because they have like actors from different markets that they just don't even bother to mic anything. They just film it completely silent and add everything in post. Like everyone has to dub their lines, and then they add all the sound effects.
Okay. Makes sense.
And maybe that'll be on the next Department of Corrections too. Turns out I just had some sort of bias against Hong Kong movies. I have an idea for a podcast.
Okay.
This one is called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Shrek, but Were Afraid to Ask.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. And I think we could sell that. Who doesn't love Shrek? He's like, Shrek and Nicolas Cage are like the internet's two favorite movie stars.
Yes. Has anyone ever done a Shrekless Cage?
I'm sure they have. How could they have not?
Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, no. Yeah, you can buy a pillow of that on Wish.com. It's just a pillow with...
But I mean, to both of those venerated actors, that would be my pitch. Is like, you guys haven't teamed up yet. Why are you leaving money on the table?
My God!
You both need a big hit. Face Off 2. This time it's Nick and Shrek.
AJ, Nicolas Cage turned down the role of Shrek.
Oh. It seems odd to me that they offered it to him, but it would have been wonderful.
Fans have since joked on Twitter that DreamWorks should make a live-action remake casting Nicolas Cage. I would be there to see that. This is the kind of stuff that you could know about Shrek. Stuff you're afraid to ask. Oh, dare I speak its name? Shrekless Cage. We're here to say, yes, don't be ashamed. It was almost a thing. And it is. On Redbubble and Wish.com.
Yeah. And I mean, I have any number of questions about Shrek spinoffs, because I mean, the only, I think, actual spinoff we got was the Puss in Boots movie. And why haven't we brought Shrek into our world? It's been,
I think there was a short with the donkey and his babies.
The half dragon babies.
Yeah. The dronkies. Is that what you'd call them? Drankies?
Donkons.
This is really, I think this is why medieval societies fell apart. It's too hard to come up with names for all of these half one animal, half the others.
Yeah. And the consternation that comes with the fact that, yes, I can breed these two animals together and it makes a baby, but I have sex with all these animals and they never make a half-human son for me. that I
I've
can
been
ride to town.
fucking this bull like crazy. No minotaurs.
Seen my son? He loves apples. Feed him an apple.
What are you most afraid to ask about Shrek?
Oh. I'm not that afraid to ask these questions, obviously. But what am I shying away from? I guess we got to get into some Mike Myers questions then, because it's not Shrek. Like, even though Shrek is a big scary ogre and I'm meant to be afraid of him, I just love him. But Mike Myers, the voice of Shrek.
How much do we really know about
what
him?
What happened there? Yeah.
Says here, Mike Myers was born in Haddonfield and was committed to an insane asylum. Well, that doesn't sound good.
Did Shrek have anything to do with his fall from grace? Because he's, still pretty much on top of the world when those movies started, and by the time they ended, he couldn't.
Well, I think that had less to do with Shrek and more to do with other decisions that were made. Although, I think we're the pump has been primed. We're ready for somebody to unscrew that spigot and let more Shrek pour out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Get Jamie Lee Curtis in here as Shrek's long lost sister. That'll be a little joke for just the adults. Ha 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 ha. Get it, Mike Myers.
Mm-hmm.
Did Dana Carvey ever do anything with Shrek?
No,
Get
but
him in there.
I don't think that I don't know if they've ever made up, but I think that was, as much as I love those Wayne's World movies, I don't think that there was a lot of bon ami on that set. I think that Mike Myers just hated Dana Carvey and hated the fact that he got to be in the movie.
Really?
And thought he was stealing his spotlight.
Boy, that must have really felt good when he was in Austin Powers 2 and Dana Carvey was in The Master of Disguise.
Yes.
I think the thing I'm most afraid to ask about Shrek would be what kind of lover he is.
I'm going to guess a lazy one.
He's got layers. Yeah, you're probably right. Lazy. put it on the board.
One that likes to do it in a mud puddle.
Shrek is a selfish lover.
Yeah.
Well, with this idea, we could open up questions to the public, and then we would just have to
consult the literature and where appropriate, call on our vast knowledge of Shrek and answer those questions.
How much research into Shrek would we have to do to become the world's foremost experts on Shrek? I feel like there's probably not a lot of for as popular as Shrek is as a meme, that's a very wide and shallow field. Mm-hmm. I feel like we could go very, an inch wide and a mile deep on Shrek. Learn everything
even the source
about
material. Shrek. It is a picture book, is it not? It's not even what I would have called a chapter book as a kid. I think it's something.
I just know that edited version of the Shrek book where it's like they replaced all the text with weird stuff. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Let me see. Here we go. Damn it. Where is it? Shrek decided to marry whatever this thing is. No priest would officiate because God hated Shrek for being alive, so they used a crocodile. Shrek was still hungry, so he ate a bolt of lightning. Yum, said Shrek. My diet is everything. You eat my food, said the cloud that made the lightning. Please at least tip 20%. Okay, said Shrek. I will get your tip from my bag. Shrek reached into his bag for his gun that killed clouds.
Okay.
Somebody just made a fake version of the Shrek book where Shrek is way wilder than in the original.
Okay.
Anyways, that's everything you ever wanted to know about Shrek, but we're afraid to ask. What's your idea?
Okay. Well, we did a whole podcast about like a desert island survival scenario, and the what would your desert island top 10 is a pretty standard interview question. Another one is if you were on death row, what would your last meal be? And my idea is a podcast called Earn Your Last Meal that would start with that question, but we would also ask not just what you would like to be served, but what crime you would like to commit to get on death row and get that killer meal.
Ah, that's a good idea. So we talk about like what you want for your last meal, and then what kind of crime you're going to commit.
What are you willing to like? Because I mean, these 5-course 5-star dinners don't grow on trees. You gotta kill some people, or do something truly heinous too.
And this is a great idea for like a commercial too, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a guy, and they're like, dead man walking. They take him to his cell, and the priest is there, and he's doing the crossing himself, and the executioner is standing there by the electric chair, and then here's the guard, and he's like, "You ready for your last meal, Nash?" And here, bring it in on a tray, just like you asked. And he slams it down, and it's just a Klondike bar.
That's always the frustration with these stories, is that they've done what it takes to get this wonderful opportunity that we all dream about, and they're so trashy and bedraggled that they choose something that any one of us would just be like, that's just Thursday for me. I think that there could be a good reality television show too that is all about the prison chef who's in charge of making this most magical of meals. Every week there's a new guy who's gonna die, but before he goes off to the chair or whatever, he has to give a review of how the contestants did making his last meal.
Yeah, he's the host of Chopped. It's called Chopped and Screwed because they have to cook, but then the guy who eats the meal is completely screwed. What about this? I just had this idea. If I ever commit a murder and get put on death row, they'll be like, "What do you want for your last meal?" And I'll be like, "The First Lady." I want to eat the president's wife. They'll be like, "Damn. Oh, this is a real catch-22 we've got ourselves in."
Baked Alaska that looks like a new Jill Biden.
I want to eat Dr. Jill Biden. They're like,
and not some clever thing where you make an approximation of her with
the president is going to be so mad at us, but we did offer him whatever he wanted. Can we just like cut her legs off? Cover them in Frank's Red Hot?
That would be acceptable.
I want to eat.
Go ahead.
I want to eat Amy Carter's cat, Yin Yang. They're like, that cat died in the 70s. Do we know where they buried it?
I don't know. Do you think that they would set out some rules for Nasty Nate, the cannibal killer, that he can't get more human flesh?
No, that's the thing, is that I'm gonna commit a crime in a way that makes it seem like I hate cannibalism, and then I'll pull the old switcheroo on them when they ask me for my last meal.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I want a big bowl of soup with the keys that unlock my cell.
I'm just asking for the poison hot dogs they use on the rats in the prison. I would have ruined that whole show for them. They're selling all those tickets in that little room, and I'm not giving them a show. And they're going to like, you can't do that. You got to give those folks a show. They bought tickets. And I'm going to be like, fuck them. Give me the poison hot dogs.
On, Mr. Estes. Don't you see? Oh, that'd be great. What if you did a movie that was like Weekend at Bernie's, but it was
them electrocuting a dead body? Like they got to sell it.
It's the warden of a prison, and the guy on death row committed suicide, but they have to keep pretending he's alive so that they can have the execution.
Okay, yeah.
And the governor is calling him up like, Warden, are you keeping an eye on him? He's not going to commit suicide, is he? We really want to see this guy fry. He's like, oh, yeah. Here, you want to talk to him? Hello, it's me, the cannibal.
And then, like, new information comes out, and the governor orders a stay of execution. Wants to give him the pardon.
That's the big kooky ending.
Yeah. Because we're going to have a weekend at Bernie's in prison, too. They'll pick up right where the first one leaves off.
Death row at Bernie's.
Mm-hmm. Which,
all right, I got another idea here.
Sure.
This one is called Nathan and Andrew's Fetus Academy.
Okay.
You know how sometimes pregnant ladies will put headphones on their belly and play like Mozart for their babies?
Yep.
To make them smarter. Well, this would be a podcast.
Just play us instead, and make the baby double smart.
You put the headphones on the belly, and then you just let us take the wheel, and we're gonna make this kid so fucking smart.
Okay.
I'm gonna be like, listen. I know you're only in the second trimester, but you gotta know, don't ever sign up for the insurance when you rent a car. It's a scam. They require you to use a credit card, and credit cards already have that insurance. They're double dipping. The baby is trying to understand what a car is and what insurance is. He's probably picturing like his fingers, right? I think that's probably the only thing he knows in the world.
Yeah, and they aren't even good yet.
He's like, oh, so
he could try to pick his nose, and he wouldn't have like the motor skills to do it.
This must be car, and this one is insurance. And then he becomes a great boxer, and he's like, you're gonna have a real problem with my friends here, car and insurance.
He becomes a 1900s John Sullivan style Irish boxer, like bare fist, where they just walk around in circles, and you go to 50 rounds most nights.
It doesn't matter what we talk about. We spent a whole thing on how to like do PVC plumbing. He still gets born like an 1800s Irish bare knuckle brawler.
That's the outcome of all the children who.
It's like a Philip K. Dick novel. No matter what we do, he's always born just a guy who gets in fights at bars.
Yeah, who has a little bit off-center sort of names for his fists. This one is Shrek, and this one is Nicolas Cage.
I'd like to introduce you to my friends, sister, and the smart guy.
That one would be especially good if he was a freak born with three arms.
He's got 3 arms.
Tamara and Taj.
Tamara. And then he kicks. He kicks you, and he's like, "Let's say hello to the smart guy." Other than that, I guess that we could just maybe try and subliminally plant things in these kids' minds that'll help us down the road.
Mm-hmm. Some sort of help a future power grab 20 plus years from now.
Yeah. Everybody thinks they're just making their babies smarter by letting us talk to them in the womb. And then 18 years from now. What's this? We're running for president and vice president. And then we get up on stage, the debate, and they're like, these two have no chance of winning. And we're like, Tia and Tamara. And then 18-year-olds all over the world, like the Manchurian candidate.
Yeah.
All marching in lockstep to the polls to cast their vote. America's youth have spoken. Now we're in charge. First order of business, a presidential decree. We are bringing back the smart guy.
I mean,
we're making Martin Lawrence he's the new Secretary of State. And the Secretary of War is Shanae. Just not knowing that Shanae is Martin.
Yeah.
So Martin has to do twice as much work as everyone else in our UPN cabinet. Martin, can you go get Shanae? We need to talk about these plans to invade. He has to run out of the room and change real quick.
That's I didn't know that you'd started wearing lipstick, Martin. And he's gonna rip it off real fast.
Yeah, there was some fans of mine out in the hall. They get a little crazy sometimes. Do you have another idea?
I do. And this is another super ultra niche podcast that we're going to try to sell to some elites. It's the Moonlanders exclusive podcast, a podcast that will only ever be sold to people who have set foot on the moon. And we're going to cover all kinds of diverse topics that are important to people who've landed on the moon, like, the best foods in light gravity. Places that you can sell moon rocks, since you brought a whole bunch back with you and you held on to them and, they've appreciated in value. We'll try to find you buyers for those moon rocks.
Best place to go to the bathroom on the moon.
Uh-huh. I like to go to the dark side.
Yeah. Hey,
More
listen,
privacy.
all of our New York listeners out there, you think it's hard to find a public restroom in New York City? Try finding one on the moon. Am I right? Here's a science fact for you. There are hundreds of bags of shit on the moon because the astronauts leave the poop behind so that the ship doesn't weigh as much. So along with the flag and the plaque,
and so they
for
can
all
smuggle
humanity,
more of the moon rocks that have actual value back with them. Though I don't know if they had a bag of "I took this shit on the moon." I'm sure that I could find a buyer for that item as well.
Oh yeah, moon shit. Here's a little tip for any moonlanders who are currently on the moon. Watch out for Elon Musk's rocket that is going to crash into the moon. That hasn't already happened, has it?
Crash. I remember the one that was going to crash back to Earth like a month or two ago.
No.
I was unaware that there was another one that was going to crash into the moon now.
Apparently, it is not a SpaceX rocket, but it is a Chinese booster unit. There is a giant piece of space junk that is going to crash into the moon soon. It is on a collision course. I'm not seeing a date, but this is all like within the last week. Anyways, if you're on the moon right now on your secret Nazi base, watch out. All right, let's go to the hotline.
Okay.
Folks, if you have an idea for a podcast, you can reach out to us at the podcast hotline at 702-763-2277. 702-podcast. We tried to get podcast, but it wasn't available. You can also email us at wedon'thaveapodcast yet at gmail.com. And here is a voicemail from a listener.
Hey, I've got an idea for a podcast. I think you should discuss how Judy Greer has transformed from her 1999 appearance in the hit film Jawbreakers to her TV appearance in the hit comedy show Arrested Development in 2004. From Fern Mayo / Violet to Kitty Sanchez. Thank you. Goodbye.
All right. What do you think? What should the name of that podcast be? He didn't give us a...
Well, he only gave us two times in the Judy lifespan. Obviously, I want to call it Judy, and we'll also talk about her turn in the Jurassic World films, maybe.
Oh,
or
yeah.
late era Judy Greer.
She was like one of the secondary characters in a lot of romantic comedies, I think.
Yeah, she kind of
13
took the
going on
mantle
30.
from Bonnie Hunt as the
Yeah.
best friend.
Yeah, did she play two different roles in Jawbreaker?
It has been.
I gotta be honest, I'm not sure I've ever seen Jawbreaker.
I haven't seen it since I was a teenager.
I think this is confusing. I'm not getting anything. Oh, she does. Yeah, she plays two different characters. Huh. Interesting. Not good for a podcast, though. Just looking at Google and learning things. I should wait and do research before we do the Judy cast. What if we did
just before before we do the Judy cast? Which Judy do you think is going to be your favorite? Early, mid, or late career Judy?
I like late career Judy Greer. she's the sidekick to downtown Julie Brown. How about you? What do you feel? What are your feelings on Judy Greer?
I feel like I'm gonna probably go mid-career Judy, but as it was brought up, like I don't really remember Jawbreaker, so like I could rewatch that, and maybe I find a new appreciation for Judy in these films, but before I was really aware of her.
Yeah, young Judy Greer. Who knows? What if we did this podcast, but we intentionally fucked up and thought that Judy Greer was Pam Greer? And just...
Oh, coffee? Yeah.
Oh, Jackie Brown. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Never seen this movie you're talking about, but yeah. She's one foxy lady. All right, let's go to the Podtron. Folks, the Podtron 4500 is an artificial intelligence that we created. We trained it using the podcast charts, gave it all the hottest names and descriptions of podcasts, and it generates a list of podcast titles for us to use as jumping off points. Podcasts like, wait, how did this podcast get here?
The first podcast that is delivered at random in hard form. Like it will be an audio cassette that we mail to, what do you say, like 100 random households in America?
Yes. Oh my God, yes. Just make a bunch of tapes. Just send them out to people. And they're like, what is this? We'll put together a whole little packet, like when they send a screener to somebody at the academy, and it's like it has popcorn and like a little Red Bull. They have a bag of candy, and then
I think we should not
DVD.
say our name in it, so that like it triggers like some impulse to do some sleuthing. And people are like, what the hell is this? It was the funniest podcast I've ever listened to. And
oh my God,
gotta find out who these guys are. And then
would they know it was a podcast though? If we
there'll be like a whole subreddit about like trying to figure out who's mailing these amazing podcast tapes out.
Yeah. All right. Do you have one from the Podtron that you like?
I do, and this one is called the Disposable Sex Education.
And this could kind of tie into the Fetus Academy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's good for someone to remain true to the roots, to know where they came from. So we can tell the babies that, yes, you came from a sex.
That's good. Also, these fetuses, listen, we're not going to be making them memorize the state capitals or anything like that. That's asking too much of a fetus. But there are certain things that you can hardwire into a child's brain when they're that small. You could just, bang a hammer and show them a rat and they remember. So maybe
How are we going to show them a rat, though? They might be able to get the hammer, but unless we give them a roommate, I don't think that they're going to know what the rat is.
this is how it works. This is a special service that we provide where you tell us what you want your child to not do, and then we will play German techno music and put a rat in your vagina.
Our rats are 100% safe. All of our rats have been declawed and detoothed.
These are Richard Gere grade rats.
Yeah, these are rats. Like I've got a whole rat terrarium, and none of these rats have the ability to care for themselves. I have to feed all of them tapioca pudding for all of their meals. Just the world's smallest little rat spoon. It's a lot of work, but it's worth it to teach these kids important lessons.
Yeah, and we want to be clear that while these rats are very weak and sickly, they're not like that in like a Jonathan Lipnicki kind of way. They're more like some kind of creature without eyes that would be in a Guillermo del Toro movie. They're so sickly and weak that they're guaranteed not to hurt you, but they look horrifying.
Yeah, that's our guarantee.
That is the Nathan and Andrew Fetus Academy guarantee.
They are part of our academy. They are teachers in good standing. These are professional declawed, detoothed rats.
Yeah, and we charge on a sliding scale, but you should know that this sliding scale does affect the quality of our rat professors.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get some adjuncts if you're at the one end. At the other end, you're going to get, this is our tenured rat professor, old Nicodemus. Here he comes. He's got a little cane and glowing eyes.
I've got that one rat that looks like Michael Caine in the Cider House Rules.
Yeah. Oh. By the way, this rat is addicted to ether. We're gonna have to give him some.
They've got the little tiny rat size ether mask, and after they've had their tapioca, then they can have their ether. But if you don't eat your tapioca, you can't have ether.
That's the Disposable Sex Education.
And I think that one does have legs, unlike some of these rats, because it being disposable, we can make up new rules of how sex works every week. I don't think that would be a problem.
Yeah, it's basically just this is a subscription service where every week for 9 months we just mail you a new fucked up rat.
And he's going to teach you all about sex, and if you don't like what he's got to say, throw him away. There'll be a new one next month. Find something that works for you.
Grab his tail and toss him in the
rat rules that works for you. Oh God. Just throw him in
You know that little tampon trash can? Yeah, that's where he goes.
Yeah.
All right, I got another one here.
Okay.
The Podtron suggests a podcast called Catcallers in the Night.
Ooh. That's a bad time to do some catcalling. It's hard
I
to
feel
see when I think about catcalling, I think about looking at a person and picking out different parts of their anatomy that I find appealing, and then coming up with compliments and some constructive criticism based around those physical.
like not enough catcallers are identifying what their service is as constructive criticism.
Yeah. But I mean, in the night, I at the best, you can be
Hey,
like,
baby!
"Oh, you cut a pleasing silhouette down there."
Hey, little constructive criticism. That figure has third act problems. This could also just be a podcast about like doing like actual cat calling.
Like, psst, you're Mr.
Yeah.
Whiskers. Psst, psst, psst. Okay. Yeah.
Just call, maybe you have an indoor-outdoor cat. It's bedtime. And you don't want your cat out there all night.
That is if I don't think I have that skill, but it's one I would like to have. Could you imagine if you could say the word and a cat would do your bidding?
You're just out there. Dragon. Time to come back inside. Stop bothering old Nicodemus.
But I mean, if you could give a cat a command and they would follow it, you could probably get a daily show at a casino in Las Vegas. They could just be like the cat magician.
There is like a Russian cat circus where they've trained the cats to do tricks. And I did also recently see, you've probably seen this too. It was going around a week or two ago. The video of the guy on the street who has the rats trained, where he can like tell them to go places and they just move around. Have you seen that?
No.
It's a homeless fella, and he has a bunch of rats, and they're all like very well trained. Like, you know how Brad Pitt's dog is in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine, instead of Brad Pitt, a homeless man, and instead of that Hollywood actor dog, a bunch of rats.
So
That's
like Willard with Crispin Glover?
Well, Crispin Glover didn't play a homeless man, did he?
No, I mean he wasn't a rich man, but he did have the power to command rats.
I can't say for certain. I'm making a judgment based on what little I know, but in the video, the guy is like sitting at the subway station, and he just keeps like, he'll like take one of the rats and like toss it out and then point somewhere, and the rat comes and like sits right where he points and then waits there. It's incredible. I wish I had that power over anything. If that guy wants to trade places with me, I will gladly let my children run into the sewers. Just start gnawing on the electrical cords. And then I will have a house full of rats that do the dishes and change the dog's water bowl. That's Catcallers in the Night.
Yeah, okay. All right, fair enough. I've got another one here, and this one is called The Scared Scriptwriter with Brandy Posey, who I don't know who is. But The Scared Scriptwriter, it sounds like a show about like what if someone who's easily frightened is trying to write a horror movie. And it could be an interview show where we interview someone who writes scary movies, and we ask them how they go about doing it without scaring themselves.
And we have to get Brandy Posey in on this.
Who's Brandy Posey? Do you know who that is?
She's a comedian. I mean,
Okay. This isn't a
Most
real
of the time.
podcast that I've brought out, is it? I mean, this
Oh.
sometimes when we get a with, I got something to talk about with the with, but I'm not sure who she is, so it's not a.
hang on. I don't think. No, she does have a podcast, but it's not called The Scared Scriptwriter.
Yeah, usually when we have these with ones, it's somebody. It'll chop one of those off and Potron will put it on one of its ideas. Well, just the Scared Scriptwriter then. Do you got any?
Maybe this is a vehicle. We write the podcast and then we pitch it to Brandy Posey.
Okay.
So
All right.
we basically, this is a scripted podcast about a scriptwriter who is scared. And then we pitch it to Brandy Posey like, hey, what do you think of this? It's like The Shining, but in podcast form. She's, I'm writing a script on my typewriter. Fun fact, it's apt pupil. That's some Stephen King trivia for you.
That he wrote apt pupil on a typewriter?
That's what Jack was writing in The Shining.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know how Stephen King likes to do, where everything exists in the same universe?
Mm-hmm.
Jack was writing Apt Pupil, another Stephen King story.
I think I read that book, but it was when I was 16 or 17, and I think that I was just like, oh, that's cool. And I just completely forgot because...
Oh, man, this is so cool. He wants to be a Nazi. So fucking cool. They have the coolest uniforms.
Yeah, back in my
little
Barbarino
AJ growing up in
sweat hog
Kentucky.
days. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Carter gave me this book. It's called Shining.
Man. Oh,
Let me tell
Hugo
you.
Boss. Wow.
But the Scared Scriptwriter, I do think that it is more of a script idea.
The Scared Scriptwriter is a story. This is it's like a Charlie Kaufman type of thing here.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, this really would be, this is exactly a Charlie Kaufman thing, right? It's a screenplay about a scriptwriter who is scared, and then we cast a known actor playing a version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly, I mean, get Kaufman on the phone. Tell him to stop. Tell him to stop writing Richard Linklater's life.
God, that would be foundation. Oh God, I love both of them so much. And if I found out that it had actually been Charlie Kaufman writing all of the Richard Linklater movies,
that it's all been like a story within a story where he just created this character who, I mean, essentially it's like every other Charlie Kaufman character.
Well, put it this way. In general, when I watch a Charlie Kaufman movie now after the early ones where they could be more or less just funny and lighthearted, but make you think a little bit. The last several have all been movies that I watch and I think about for like a week solid, and I'm just like in a depressive state until I get over it, you know?
Yes. I
think that I would be in a personal lockdown if that happened for a good month. As I tried to wrap my head around the fact that the entirety of Richard Linklater's career was artifice, and it was completely concocted by Charlie Kaufman.
You have that big red button that you hit. This is the thing on the wall. And then big steel doors close over your house. Like Bryan Cranston and Godzilla. I can see you out there. I'm like, we're supposed to podcast. You're like, Charlie Kaufman.
Can't do it. Still processing.
Can't process Charlie Kaufman. That was all part of Charlie Kaufman's plan all along.
Yeah, realizing
Now
that I'm
he's my
actually an
co-host.
actor in this. Yeah, it's a nationwide performance because we've all been.
Oh,
I'd probably have to stop watching movies and just like be like, all right, I'm a NASCAR fan now. Charlie Kaufman has no sway there.
all right. Here are our options for this week.
Okay.
We have everything you ever wanted to know about Shrek, but we're afraid to ask. Earn Your Last Meal. Nathan and Andrew's Fetus Academy. The Moonlanders exclusive podcast. Judy. Wait, how did this podcast get here? The Disposable Sex Education. Catcallers in the Night. And the Scared Scriptwriter with Brandy Posey.
Okay. There are a few of these I like this week. I could definitely do the Shrek one. I could do the Last Meal one.
Mm-hmm.
I could do the Fetus Academy.
I
think I might like Disposable Sex Education off of the Patreon list the best, maybe. What do you think?
I really like those first three, but I also like the Scared Scriptwriter with Brandy Posey. But if we took the Scared Scriptwriter and wait, how did this podcast get here?
I didn't even, as a podcast delivery thing, like I would very much enjoy being the creamy center of a mystery / controversy. I want to get Snopes.
So this was my idea for this would be that we go ahead and come up with the script for the Scared Scriptwriter. Record it to cassette tape and then mail it to Brandy Posey.
All right. I think that stick a little bit of a pin in that one. I say that is a non-weekly episode, but something that goes on the agenda, and then we pick one of the others.
Yeah. But I would say, out of those first three, the Shrek one, the Meal one, and the Fetus Academy, I think I like Earn Your Last Meal the most. Like, that's one I think that we could have a guest.
That is definitely a guest episode.
It's a good one for a guest, right? You have the guest on and you talk about like what their meal would be and then who they would murder and how.
And then we even get into the thing where it's like, okay, you've laid it out there. If that person listens to this podcast, give them some advice how to avoid you.
Yeah.
Their death is not necessarily inevitable. Oh, yeah. I like that one.
All right. Well, folks, there you have it. If you want to hear Earn Your Last Meal, it'll be up on patreon.com/we don't have a podcast yet this Friday. Go to Patreon and sign up to support us, and you will get access not only to the bonus episode every Friday, but to an entire back catalog, hundreds of hours of listening. Everything from limericks to entire screenplays that we've written. Mm-hmm. It's all there for you. So go do that. Write us a review on iTunes or Spotify or whatever other weird apps you might be using. And tell your friends. Tell your friends about our podcast and tell them about the Patreon. I'm Nathan P. Woodard.
I'm Andrew James Estes.
Good night. Oh, fuck. I accidentally deleted the song that plays at the end. Oh, no, I didn't.